Hi, so this is Amber with From Farm to Yarn, and I want to show you today how to hand wash your hand spun skeins that you take off of your niddy-noddy, what you do with them after you've pulled them off. So what I have here is a single ply wool, a 2-ply silk, and then a single ply wool that my 6-year-old spun. So pretty awesome here. When you're dealing with wool, you want warm water, a little bit more than lukewarm, but not super stark hot, because if you've ever done any wet felting, you know that wool and sharp temperature increases and agitation are the two things you need to make felt. And I don't want my yarn turning into felt, and you don't either. So I'm gonna get my water ready with warm water, a little bit more than, room temp, but not super hot. And I'm going to head and pour my soap in here. So you can use just regular dish soap like Dawn, and a lot of people do. I like to get a specific fiber blend from my local yarn store that I like, because I like the smell of it. So this I get from Lamb Spun, which is here in Fort Collins, and then just kind of mix that around. I don't want to put the yarn in here first and then pour the water, because I don't want the water stream to agitate the yarn and cause it to felt. So I do this first, and then I really am just going to set my yarn in here. Now you can let it sit, and eventually it'll sink and it'll soak in, or if you're impatient like I am, then you can just lightly press and kind of get some of those air bubbles to come out like that, and it'll just speed up the process and make it sink a little bit faster. Now a lot of this stuff is hand dyed, but it was hand dyed well, and I'm not worried about colors bleeding at this point in time. If I was, I might still do these separately, but hopefully I'm not still having bleeding. So that's it. I'm going to let these soak and just sit in here for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we're going to rinse them and then do a rinse cycle and be done. So we'll see you back here. Go ahead and start this part, and then see you back here in a second. Okay, I'm back, and just want to show you the rest of this process. So you can see that blue did bleed a little bit. Blue sure loves to linger around and stick around. I'm just going to drain the water that's in here. And then I'll want to do a rinse cycle. So for my rinse cycle, I'm going to use the same temperature water. Fill this up. Again, not really letting the water touch my yarn. I don't want to agitate the yarn. And then I will let these sit again and just kind of gently push these in here, trying to get some of that soap off of here. I might need to do this one more time. You can let this sit for a while, but I tend to be impatient and rinse it down and then fill it up maybe one more time. Now, Maggie Casey also does a rinse in a little bit of vinegar. I've personally never done that, but if Maggie Casey says that that's what you should do, then it's probably a good idea to do, and I should probably follow her advice. So she says to do a rinse that includes some vinegar and then another straight rinse. I usually just do a few warm water straight rinses until I feel like the soap is out of here. So I could let this sit. I'm just going to pull this down one more time and then see if I can't do one more rinse and really get the rest of the soap out. Okay with that. So once you have that completed, you can just give your yarn a wring. Some people squeeze this between a towel, but you don't need to do that. You can just kind of squeeze it. And then because I have this tied appropriately, you can easily separate it out and see the full skein. Now this is a 2-ply. So, it's pretty balanced. Has just a little bit of a twist, but it's not bad. So at this point in time, I can take this and hang it on something like a hanger and just set it to dry. Usually on the floor, I'll just put a towel because there's going to be a little bit of water droplets that collect. So if you just set this on a hanger, for me in Colorado, it's probably going to take like 8 hours to dry, 6 to 8 hours to dry. So at some point, I might take it on the hanger and kind of just move it around so that it doesn't end up with any sort of kink. I also like to use padded hangers so that it has a nice full surface along the top and it's not like a wire hanger with a sharp point so that it makes a dent in my yarn. And I just let it hang like this. Now I want to show you what to do when you don't have a nice balanced yarn that just hangs perfectly like this. So for my next one, I have this single of wool. There's a little bit of soap in here. I could rinse this one more time, but I'll just get on with the demo for you. So that has a bit of twist because, like I said, this is a single. Actually, that's not terrible for a single. Not horrible, but it does have a bit of a twist. So what you can do is you can put it on your hanger, and then if you don't mind, you can let it have that little bit of a twist, but if you want to pull a little bit of that out of here, what you do is you hang a water bottle in the end. So this is an empty spray bottle, so that's perfect. So this is an empty spray bottle from, I don't know, cleaning solution or something, and so if I just guide my yarn along it, I can just hang it like that, and it gives it that nice U, and I can let it dry like this. Now if that wasn't a heavy enough bottle, or this is a really thick heavy skein of yarn, I just fill a little bit of water in here until it gives me the tension that I need. And you don't want to totally pull it and pull out all the tension and then you lose any of that elasticity to your yarn, but you just want a little bit so that it's not taking out some of that twist. So that's fine. I'm going to let it dry just like that. I can imagine that this one is pretty under twisted because my 6-year-old did it. So I'll probably have to do the same thing, and I'll set that on its own hanger, or I might just actually slide this around and then set it along here with another water bottle. So I just have a ton of these around the house. And then just set it there and let it dry. And in a day, or maybe even part of a day, you should have your yarn all dry and ready to go.